rockone.net. And I wanted to share, as you can see in the title, my 3 words for 2026. What are these 3 words? These are 3 words that help me guide my decisions and everything that I want to do for the new year. But instead of resolutions, you have 3 words that help you understand things better, help you make better decisions. And instead of taking the new me, new year BS approach, where some of these resolutions are gone weeks or days after the new year started, as life hits us and we realize that we have so many things to do, right? And so many things that might be a priority. This exercise helped me just keep myself grounded and keep myself focused, right? So, like I said, since 2011, I started doing this. I was introduced to this by my friend Chris Brogan and Rob Hatch, both who I used to work with before. And it's become a cornerstone of how I make decisions for the new year, right? And it helps me get the new year started without it being so overwhelming that I have to kind of like hit a goal. They're not goals, they're words to guide you, right? As we hit a new milestone in my house, my daughter just turned 15. The last few days have been very nostalgic, reflecting on the past 15 years, what life has thrown at us, and how my daughter has evolved into the awesome young lady she is. But other than that, yeah, these were turning goals, like I mentioned, and they're a filter for decisions. So, for me, let me give a little bit of a rewind of 2025. It was a very experimental year. We started doing video. We launched laughinggear.com, which is a project I'm doing with my brother, where he sells Disney collectibles and merchandise and theme park merchandise via whatnot, and on the website. And then we started a YouTube channel. We started using our Disney travels and our love for Disney Cruise Line and the theme parks to document that and kind of like share tips and share a few things that might be helpful for anybody that wants to do that kind of vacation. I became a travel agent, so it changes the focus on just me doing web development. And cool thing about this new project is it kind of helps me detach myself from something I've been doing for years, right? But main thing from this year was I've had to learn to be very uncomfortable with things that are very unfamiliar to me, right? I've always taken photos. I've always like communicated in written form or in photos. And this year I had to learn how to communicate in video, right? I had to learn how to use the camera. Just before I set this up, I said, let me try something new. Let me use my mirrorless camera instead of my DIY, which is where I mainly blog with. And let me set up a microphone. And after I finished the video, guess what? The audio was not working. It's a big learning curve, right? So I found myself learning and being very uncomfortable. And for 2026, I want to be that uncomfortable. I want to keep on learning. I don't want to be as comfortable and compliant to what I already know. I want to learn new things, right? So having said that, here are my 3 words for 2026. Number 1, reframe. Many times after I look at the video I took, and especially when we're in the theme parks that we're moving along, and I also don't want to impact us having a good time to make sure to get the perfect shot. I see many ways I could reframe the shot, or I try to keep that in my head of how in the future I might be able to angle the camera better, right? I'm not that tall, but Lucy is Lucy is less than 5 feet. So sometimes when I'm trying to reframe her, then me in the picture, it doesn't look great. But what I've learned is that I need to focus on reframing that in the future, right? It's a learning progress. It's a learning curve that we're overcoming. But more importantly, when I think about it, like there's many times I said, oh, I could have reframed this. I could have taken this. I could have taken more time. But then I started thinking like, I need to reframe a lot of things in life, right? Because with me, when I'm shooting with my DI Osmo, it shoots in a certain way, right? When I shoot my Insta360, which is a camera I got introduced to, it allows you to shoot everything, right? So in the Insta360, you can grab the frame and put it in and choose whatever you want. In the DJI Osmo or this mirrorless camera, you just got what's in frame, right? I see life as the Insta360, right? There's many opportunities for us to look at things and perspectives and reframe how we feel, how we communicate, and what we do, right? I come from a cybersecurity background. I did that for a while. I worked for KPMG and some other IT security firms. And then I also will have a military background. So I served in the military. So in my head, I always turn into a risk assessment kind of guy. I look at risk and I'm like, okay, there's a threat, there's a vulnerability. What's the impact? How am I going to make sure that I can protect everything from my daughter to my business to my clients' businesses, right? And then when I go into who I am and how I've operated these last few years, I end up being perceived sometimes like, oh, this guy's negative. He thinks this probably can't be done. We need to pause this because there's too much risk. And from the other side, for somebody that's very creative, somebody's very optimistic, somebody that's not looking at risk from the way I look at it, I might be an obstacle, or I might be too negative for them, right? So one main thing I need to do, especially in business, I need to reframe when I'm going to communicate something, right? And I'm going to give you an example. We build websites, we set them up, we maintain them. Sometimes the client thinks that making a little change is not going to affect them, and I stop them from making that little change because I need time to test the change and make sure that the website runs properly. Every time I say it's okay and something happens, it falls on me. But then when I don't say it's okay, maybe I need to reframe the way I present it to them, so they understand that I'm not trying to stop anything. I'm just trying to make sure everything runs as soon as we launch something, right? And I think it's the same way when it comes to how communicating with loved ones, or communicating with any people that are around you. I think I need to work on less detail and more clarity, right? Clarity is the word here that's gonna back up that reframing, right? So I want to focus on outcomes, not the mechanics, right? And I do a lot of the mechanics. That's how I am. So Reframe helps me choose clarity over reaction. So I also need to react less, right? I like to fix things. I like to figure things out. I like to keep on moving. I need to pause. I need to take it easy, and I need to make sure before I say anything or I communicate, send an email, I reframe things. The same thing when I'm going to film something, I need to think, how am I going to frame this and how can I reframe it, right? To make it look better. And main thing is, make sure you reframe everything that is pleasant and attractive and enticing for your audience, right? So that's going to be the word that's going to give me most of the work I need to work on, right? And then word two is sequence, right? I'm looking for flow and momentum, right? When I was in my 20s, I would go into a meeting, and I used to work in very high paced consulting environments, where we had like a week to like visit a location. And sometimes what people would do in 3 weeks, we had to do in one. And my brain was set. I would not forget anything. I had checklists in my head that I would run through, and everything would get done. Now at 45, that doesn't happen. I might forget something. So I have checklists in place to make sure that I don't forget anything. But more importantly, sometimes those checklists, sometimes I'm tired and I don't want to get through something. And if it wasn't because of the checklist, it helps me get through things very quickly. So sequencing is more of how I'm going to be, I would say, yeah, how I'm going to be plotting and setting things up to in a way that it's efficient and it's not something I have to redo and recreate the wheel, right? Life is too loud and structure helps, right? There's a lot of noise, there's the political environment that affects everybody. Everybody says, "Oh, I don't know political." Listen, politics affects us every day. So it's, even if you want to escape it, it's going to affect you. So structure helps me from kind of like filtering the noise and focusing on what I need. Um, when I when I plan a video and I kind of sequence it out and I think of it at a high level, I do a better job getting through it. I'm not good at editing video. I'm very fairly new. So that helps me kind of like get an understanding and push through something that's unfamiliar. And sometimes the result might have been better than if I would have not sequenced that in my head, right? So less friction, more learning. And sequence isn't just about prioritizing, right? It's ordering the energy which you're going to put into things, right? Does that make sense? What comes first matters. That attitude, like, no, you got to make sure that everything that is set in the sequence matters, right? And then the one main thing I want to stay away from is over sequencing. When I started my business, I came from big firms where they had a lot of support systems. They had a lot of people that were supporting you. It was just me and my wife at that time, just me and Lucy. So in that case, yeah, make sure you don't overplan. You sequence in a way where it's not, where you can execute, right? Because over sequencing things is very exhausting, and it can be procrastinating while you're getting tired, right? So no over sequencing, just sequence in a way where you can execute things and get things to work smarter, and so you can execute smarter, right? So sequence helps me build momentum instead of chaos. That's something I wrote. And then the third word is disengage, right? We got to set boundaries and we got to care for ourselves. But sometimes we focus too much on putting boundaries on other people. No, you got to put your own boundaries. And then I got to put boundaries with myself of how I interact with people, right? I am the kind of person I get too involved in projects and community projects and business projects. And I care so deeply about people and the communities I belong to and my clients that that can seem, or I can sometimes run into over controlling things that I shouldn't be controlling. right? So I need to do a better job at disengaging when something's out of scope of what I'm supposed to be working on, or when even if it's on in scope and the person no longer wants my help or doesn't or wants to do it a different way, right? Not everything is mine to fix, and that's something that this word is going to help me with. I need to start learning of how I need to let go of things, right? My brother tells me, hey, use the song Let It Go from Frozen, and I try to remind myself, and I've been practicing that a little bit more, but I need to still disengage sometimes even quicker than what I've been doing lately, right? So if people want to fail when they're choosing their own path, just be there to be supportive, I need to, and I'm talking to myself, I'm not talking to you guys. So yeah, pretty much disengage sooner to protect relationships, to protect projects, to protect things that happen, right? Some clients love the extra value I bring when it comes to digging into areas that I've worked with before and are out of scope. Others don't. They have their teams and they're gonna trust the people they trust, and they might just want your feedback to then make the same decision they're gonna make anyway, right? And if the sooner I disengage, while still providing value, while still being myself, right? It's going to be more helpful for me when it comes to my business, when it comes to my interactions with friends and family, and so on and so forth, right? So disengage by respecting limits, right? And then not every argument deserves energy. Sometimes we get into arguments that are so insignificant, and we just want to be right, and we don't want to be pushed over, right? I'm not saying to let people push you over, but many times when you analyze things, you could have disengaged quicker and the outcome would have came out even better. And then not every situation needs a response. I need to stop reacting and responding. I need to pause and I need to reframe things. I need to make sure they're in the sequence I want them to be. And I need to learn how to disengage when it needs to be. Yeah. And I think the main thing here is disengage protects me. Disengaging early protects my energy, my well-being, and the well-being of the people I want to have a relationship with, the people that I love and respect, right? So bringing these three words together, reframe gives me clarity, sequence creates momentum, disengage protects my focus, which is something I've been working on. And I think I wrote this little mantra and I'm going to read it here and I'm going to try to memorize it over time. I'm really bad at memorizing things. So reframe the moment, sequence the work, and disengage from the noise. So having said that, those are my three words, right? Reframe, sequence, and disengage. I use words that are active verbs, which is something I learned from Chris Brogan. I'm going to put some links to what the three words exercise is like, how it's looked like for the last 11 years with all the words I've chosen over the years and all the blog posts that I've written over the years. And some other guys and other people that do this exercise that you might get some value from it. So if you're still not ready for New Year, guess what? It's only like you can start this in a week or two and you'll still be fine. Or even in a month, you can start this in February, whatever works. I do this because it's a constant reminder and it obligates me to start in the new year. But you can start this at any moment, right? So before I shut off this video, I want to thank you for being part of my journey. For those who know me and they've been engaging with my content one way or the other. Just the other day, as I uploaded Daniela's picture of her in front of her cake for her 15-year birthday little celebration we did, very intimate here in the house. A lot of people were like, oh my God, she's grown so quickly. Thank you for, like, I had 2 or 3 friends saying, we don't live close. We've been able to see her grow through your pictures, through whatever you share. So thank you for including us in that. And sometimes I forget that even though we're not physically there, social media or technology allows us to connect with people in different ways. So if you've been one of those people that have always been here supporting or sharing ideas or interacting or just being present, thank you. I hope 2026 brings the clarity and the changes we all need. I hope it brings change in the world, right? We're living in very, very hostile environments when it comes to people of color, when it comes to immigrants, when it comes to what's happening in Palestine and Gaza. All those areas need more love, need more protection, and we need to be more human, right? So hopefully 2026 brings us that. And if it doesn't bring us that, it's our job to fight and look for that and find what it is that we need as minorities. I'm going to close with this. I only hope that 2026 brings more clarity, more compassion, and more accountability for all of us. Feliz Año Nuevo. And thank you again for watching this whole video, kind of tagging along in some of my little crazy project ideas. One more thing, if you can subscribe here, that'd be great. If you're interested in me creating these kind of videos, just let me know. The reason I don't do them is because sometimes I don't think anybody's interested in listening to this. So if you listen this far, leave a comment in the video. Let me know you want to see more of this or what topics you want me to cover. Or if you want to come along and tag along and be part of the videos either remotely or we can connect around the island. So thank you again and Happy New Year. Happy 2026.